Hello, my name's Angela from Angela Simpson Functional Medicine. Thanks for joining me. And I'm going to talk to you today about a topic that I find is just so common in most females I know, and especially females that are approaching perimenopause and that transition into menopause. And that is estrogen dominance. And you may ask, what is estrogen dominance? And it is, exactly how it sounds. It's too much estrogen relative to the other sex hormones in your body as a female. And it can be sometimes confusing to women because they think, how could I be having estrogen dominance as my estrogen and progesterone are lowering? And I know they're lowering as I get closer to menopause. That's what happens with our hormones as females, right? They start to lower. And that is actually what brings us into that transition into menopause, is our estrogen lowers down enough that we stop having a cycle. So how could you have estrogen dominance in this time of your life? And let me tell you some of the three main symptoms and the three main causes. Some of the most common symptoms I see for women is PMS. So bloating, mood changes, pelvic pain, abdominal pain, gut issues, irritability, trouble sleeping, all of these things that can go along with that time period leading up towards having your cycle if you're still a regularly cycling female. You also potentially could have irregular periods. They might be happening less than 28 days, which is typically the normal cycle for a female that's having regulated hormones. And the periods could also be extremely heavy. They could even have clots with them. I definitely talk to women where this is just, those heavy cycles hit a point where they're basically unbearable and unmanageable. And, it's hard to leave the house. It's hard to get anything done. You're just bleeding so much. So this is a common symptom of estrogen dominance, especially as you're getting closer to perimenopause, but it can happen much earlier as well. And all of these symptoms, what are they going to do to affect your life? They're going to affect your energy levels for sure. They're going to affect your relationships with others around you. If you have terrible moods leading up to your cycle or at certain points in your cycle, they're going to affect your ability to function, in your everyday life, at work, with your family members. So, it really just affects your life all around. It can be quite debilitating. And, what can we do about it? Where is this coming from in the first place, and what can we do about it? And so I will give you like a myth. I'll call it a myth, because women often think that the reason that they have these symptoms with estrogen dominance, which is what all those symptoms really explain, is again because they are in a time of life where their hormones are going to become out of balance because they're entering towards perimenopause and menopause, and they've been told that that's what happens. That's what happens to everyone. So it's probably what's happening to me as well. And so I am going to, give you a myth buster. It's not actually caused by your hormone fluctuations in perimenopause. It's more common that these symptoms will be revealed in this time period of life, but it's definitely not the main cause of estrogen dominance and hormone imbalance symptoms. What are the main causes? So the most common causes are too much inflammation in our bodies. So where does this come from? It typically comes from things like gut imbalances. So not eating a diet that's optimal for us and our hormone balance, particularly at this point in our life. It can definitely also come from stress that's coming at us in too high of an amount that we're not regulating well. So either too much stress or poor stress management, or a combination of the two. And then another thing is not exercising appropriately. This is also often related. And people think often if they're starting to notice changes in their bodies as they get to this time period of life, which is common, often there's a bit more weight gain around the abdominal wall, the hip area, the buttock area. They assume, oh, I've got to exercise more. This is not normal. I don't want to have this happening to me. And so yes, you want to exercise, but you don't want to over exercise either. So you need to exercise, but you need to do the right amount and the right type. And then the other thing that actually can be related to the cause of this might not have just been happening since you've entered this time period of life. This might be happening, has been happening to you ever since you had a cycle, for as long as you can remember. This might also have happened to your mom and your aunt and your grandma and, others that other females in your family that are blood related, your sisters. And if so, you probably have some genetics for predisposition to estrogen dominance. And so you can learn about this, and you can actually learn and understand things you can do to help, even if you are genetically predisposed to conditions like this. Another way that you might know is there could be some family history of female cancers as well. And so this is also something that you would want to look further into, because if you do have a genetic predisposition to estrogen dominance, I want you to know that there's some things you can do about it. You don't have to just say, well, it's going to happen to me as well. It's happened to everyone else in my family. There's something you can do about it. And so what are those things that you can do? Again, the solution is in some of the causes. So fixing our gut function, learning how to manage our stress properly, taking some things off of our plate when we feel overloaded, not always feeling like we have to do so much all the time, eating a proper diet. So the type of foods that you ate when you were in your, teens, early 20s, it's probably not the same type of food plan that you need to do now. So, in general, something that's low inflammation, but we have to get more specific than that. And it has to be specific for you in your body and what you're experiencing. Just a quick tip for estrogen dominance: eating cruciferous vegetables, your broccolis, your cauliflowers, your cabbages, that helps to actually flush some of that excess estrogen from your body, as does eating a proper amount of fiber every day. So between 25, 35 grams, which can even be 1 to 2 tablespoons of some extra seeds in your day that are added to your salad. So it doesn't have to be a lot, but it needs to be consistent. So just to give you some tips there. And, again, what's going to happen if you don't fix this? What's going to happen if you don't get on top of it? So, again, there is those possibilities that estrogen dominance, when it goes unregulated for long enough, it can lead to certain conditions such as female cancers, breast cancer being one of them. It's very, very common. Cervical cancer, uterine cancer, these things can become a factor when estrogen is too high for too long relative to your other sex hormones. And it can happen as well postmenopausally. It's not going to happen to you just because you're having heavy periods. This dominance can persist through menopause as well. So, it's important to think I'm not just going to try and wait till I get through menopause, and it'll go away. Because it often doesn't. So, things that you need to take care of, if you have these symptoms, you need to take care of them right away. You don't want to wait any longer. And sometimes these symptoms will get worse too. They won't just stay the same. Other things that happen, let's face it, if you have these mood changes, they're happening all the time on a continuous basis. If you are in a relationship, you have a partner, there's no doubt it's affecting your marriage or your partnership. It can get to a point where it ends relationships just because you're feeling so unregulated with your moods and your emotions. And so, again, these are real consequences for things that are happening in your body. So we want to help you with this. I'm here to help you with this. I'm a hormone expert. I'm a functional medicine practitioner. I've worked with hundreds and hundreds of females to help them get their bodies back on track. I just got off the phone with someone 2 days ago now, and she said, I just can't believe how much better I feel. I didn't think it was possible to feel better from these terrible cycles that I was having. And it only took her 3 cycles to get herself feeling back on track. Periods lightened up, moods got better. So again, it's some of those lifestyle changes I already talked about here, but there's some things you can do to get specific with your body as well. So if you want to learn more about this, feel free to go to my website, www.angelasimpsonfunctionalmedicine.ca. I'm happy to have a complimentary consult with you to talk about your health and if it could be a good fit for us to work together to help you optimize your wellness again. You can also find me on my Facebook page, Angela Simpson Functional Medicine. You can send me a message there. And if you haven't already, please join my group, Functional Medicine for Hormone Imbalances, and you will be able to get some great tips and information on how you can get to the root cause of your hormone imbalances through information that comes to you from that group. And it's also a way for you to gain support and know that you're not alone in these symptoms. A lot of women suffer, and the suffering needs to end. So those are some of the steps you can take to start now. Take care and have a good rest of your day.